Here, we're going to call the work session of the Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee to order for July 12th, 2022. And we have one item on the agenda, 1299 Islington Street. Alex Ross is here to present.
Hello, everyone. So we prepared this plan set here. We've been working for the owners, Chris and Leslie Garrett, and actually took this to the ZBA months ago to get an area and frontage variance. It was actually inches shy on the frontage. Now with me today are Jenna and Ryan, who would like to build a home on this and make it their primary residence. If we could go to the pictures
Okay.
that were submitted, we can look at the aerial. I think everyone knows where the site is. So up on Islington Street on your way out of town, almost across from Essex, and actually across from the brick powder house is where this site is. And probably if you go to the next sheet, yeah, so that's kind of the vacant land, and then go down some more. So there's an old barn that's been there that is kind of a landmark. Not too many of them left. But right up on the hill on Islington on the right-hand side. So if we can go to the site plan. So the existing house and barn are on the right-hand side. They are currently served by city sewer and city water. It appears that the city sewer main stops just shy of the parcel. So the new parcel to the west would be served by city water, but it would make sense to do a on-site septic for this parcel. We have done test pits. There is decent soil, so it could support that, a leach field out behind the house. We're still researching that sewer line. It is odd the way that it just kind of stops there. Chris Garrett thought there were some repairs done 10 or 15 years ago that maybe extended it, but
That's not odd at all. That's where they hit rock.
yeah, I think there's ledge up in the street. Yep. So, we did want to meet with you and go over the layout. We will be going before a planning board. We did survey up and down Islington Street, and actually where this parcel is located is almost at the peak of Islington Street. So it would be a safe location for a driveway, because you'd have good sight distance on either side. So it's actually a pretty simple project, but we did want to hear any recommendations you might have.
All right, all set. Any comments?
We met as a staff to take a look at it, and we didn't have a lot of comments on this. The only thing that jumped to mind is that before we see this go to planning board, we'd like you to reach out to the assessor and get new map, lot, and block numbers, and have those interim map, lot, and block numbers identified on the plat as it goes to planning board. That's kind of the new strategy we're looking.
Yes.
And we saw that you got your variances. I don't think we had, unless Nick or Kate or
For comment?
Peter has any additional comments?
I have one, just looking at the site plan and looking at some of the images. I think you'd be happier with this house if you could put it a little bit closer to the street. And I see there's a 30-foot setback line, but I think there's a provision in the code that allows you to average out the buildings on either side, and everything seems to be in the sort of 12 to 15-foot setback, which would give you a much bigger rear yard than what, you're gonna be like a gap tooth on the street like the barn if you're forced to put it so far back on the lot. So you have every right to put it there, but
We
the
do,
zoning
yeah.
is not forcing you to put that house, as far as I can tell, in the middle of the lot. I think you can average the setback of the abutting properties and build up to that line, which would be way better to me if I lived there.
Yeah, we can look into
Not
that.
having any street parking on Islington though, also having a little bit longer of a driveway, but yeah, we did cut it basically right on the front setback.
So your garage is on the left?
Yes.
So why don't you do like 20 feet off the property line to the face of the garage so you can park 2 cars there? Because you can't fit 4 cars now anyway. You
Right.
wouldn't need the little turnaround, so that wouldn't be in front of your house, which is odd,
Right.
right? So you could still park 2 cars in the garage, 2 cars outside. They wouldn't be in the right of way. They'd still be 5 feet off the edge of pavement. So they're not gonna get clipped by somebody driving by.
But if they want a basketball hoop in the turnaround,
What?
or if they want to put a basketball hoop in the turnaround.
And they're welcome to do that, but
Right. The turnaround's kind of nice, but I hear what you're saying. You don't
Nice,
like
but it's not Portsmouth to have a turnaround in your front yard like that, that's all. It's
Right.
just out of character.
Yeah, yeah.
You're welcome to do it.
Yeah.
This is all take it or leave it. You can put the house 10 feet further back if you want.
Good point.
So I've got some concerns on the septic tank. Yes. I noticed that there's not a test pit where the proposed leach field is, which is something I believe DES requires. And I believe there's a lot of ledge in that area as well. So some more information on the septic design would be good.
Yeah, definitely understandable. For the ZBA meeting, we did test pit 1 and 2.
Yeah.
We really hadn't located a house. Those were just to prove that we did have good soils. And actually, I believe on test pit 2, 3 or 4 feet down, there's a little bit of ledge, but test pit 1 was much deeper and better soils. So, of course, if we do the septic tank leach field where we're shown, we do additional test pits to prove that that could accept it.
Okay, and do you know if this lot's large enough to handle a septic system?
It is. So we have been working with the state on that, and I'm not sure if you're probably familiar with that one on Fletcher that we've done some work on as well. It's about the same size. So we did get a septic approved for that one as well.
Okay. So that's probably going to be a condition, is showing that you can put a septic onto this.
Right. Yeah, we definitely need state septic approval. And that's part of that, the lot loading and everything.
So I noticed that there's no electrical connection shown. I know there are overhead wires passing in front of the property, but that should get shown.
Sure, we can add that.
And then for the water service, that should be noted, it's 1-inch copper. I just see the proposed water line, but no size
Sure.
material.
Zach, just a quick question for my own edification. The electric utility extension, is that in the right-of-way, or does that occur within an easement?
I don't believe we handle it as private utility. It's from the pole to the house, I would assume, so it's not something we really deal with, but it should be
Just
shown.
the service line? but-
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Shante?
You gonna have to blast it all, or I notice your foundation slab just a few feet down from what appears to be the current elevation, but you can hammer it out.
There probably will be some hammering there just to get the foundation in.
In the tank maybe. So then with the water, you're gonna have perimeter drains and then cross connections to the basement, to the exterior, and then that's gonna drain where? To daylight? In other words, how does that get dealt with, the water?
That was another concern that we had, was what the new stormwater will be on this due to the amount of impervious surface that's being added.
Yeah, most likely there'd be a foundation drain that would then go out back to a lower elevation.
Out to daylight?
Right.
Then is that, with these kind of smaller lots, is that gonna present a problem to the, I don't know, I'm not familiar with the property, what's on the backside of the abutters, where that would go to daylight, is that,
Yeah, so on this site, behind the rear of the parcel is the old railroad bed. So the
Okay.
tracks are ripped up, and it's just kind of a,
good spot to absorb all the water?
There is a setback from the perimeter drain to the leach bed, so
there is, yeah.
you need to make sure that's actually going to fit.
Just
Bike
one-
lanes?
Yep, no. We're gonna have a rail trail right back of the house.
Is that area turning into a rail trail?
That's part of the rail trail back there. State's working on that right now.
Nice.
The driveway, it's probably not a major concern, but, because you're at the top of a hill, so you have good sight lines, but just want to make sure there's no vegetation on the site that's going to limit your sight lines coming out of your driveway.
Yeah, there'd probably be some clearing we'd want to do
Yeah.
at the property line in there, yes.
Some of which might be in front of the addition, the side houses lot in the right of way. You might need to remove some vegetation. You need to kind of show that,
Okay.
if it's true, which it may be. Because there's that knoll that you're showing topographically removing on your plan. So you need to.
Makes sense.
Well, this is just a house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No traffic study needed, so.
No traffic study?
What about bollards?
Yeah. No sharrows? No nothing? Okay.
All right, do you have any other questions, Alex, for us, or,
No, I think that's it.
all right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other business? Do we have motion to adjourn? Second?
Looks like we could go as close as.
All right, we're adjourned.
24.